Good evening. So I'm first going to start off by apologizing for my crude presentation. I'm terrible at video editing, and I needed these extra points, and I just wanted to show you what I found in my research for this paper. So my topic for my research paper was what was America's favorite sport? And so I start off by talking about how sports has been a dominant and vibrant thing in American culture for more than 100 years now. More than half of the country watches sports now, according to Play Today 2020 in 2021. Um, so I delve into the vast amount of data that exists in the sports world today about to see which sport is America's favorite. I did talk about that at one point. It was baseball. It has since changed, and that's what I'm going to show you in this paper, or in this research, I should say. So for this research, I decided to go with just the top five most viewed sports or top five most popular sports in America, due to the fact that these are just what the majority of Americans watch and pay attention to. Yeah, don't get me wrong, like tennis is a big thing in America, as well as swimming during the Olympics. I mean, there are a number of sports that garner a lot of attention from several American viewers, but these five sports just make up the majority of America, I would say. So I pulled statistics from television viewership and streaming services, as well as some Gallup polls, um, and social media statistics as well. So to start off, I did viewership, and the first data set, or a set of data that I created and saw, was a Gallup poll of most viewed sporting events since 2010. Here is the graph that I made. So obviously you can see there that football took the cake with the number one most viewed sporting event since 2010. This was the 2015 Super Bowl. And hockey surprisingly came in third or second place with 43 million. But this, I concluded that this probably got more viewership because it was an Olympic gold medal match, and all of America wanted to watch, or all of America had the right to root for them in this event. It wasn't just two teams facing off, which would have limited the fan base to that event. Third would be the 2016 World Series, where the Cubs won their first World Series in more than 100 years. The third most viewed sporting event since 2010 was also in 2016, with the NBA Finals being basketball, with the LeBron's Cleveland Cavaliers versus Steph Curry's Golden State Warriors. And finally, the lowest viewed sporting event in America was the 2014 World Cup final. All of this was pulled from Wikipedia, which they cited a Gallup poll. I was truly shocked by this because not really by the football, but certainly by the hockey coming in second, because I think both the baseball and the basketball sporting event were two of the biggest sporting events in American professional sports in the last 30, 40 years. I mean, the Cubs finally getting over their losing streak and finally winning a World Series was a massive event. And LeBron coming back from 3-1 down in the series during the finals. It happened for the first time ever, and I would have thought that Game 7 would have gotten way more views than the gold medal match in America. But I guess that just shows how much hockey has a pull in America, right? Now, this is one way of looking at this. Viewership and views is one way of looking at it for events. I also cited a data set that I created using average sports viewers for each professional sport, for the top 5 professional sports leagues over the course of the 2022-2023 season. And the two top average viewers were the NFL and the NHL, with the NBA coming in third and the MLB coming in fourth and the MLS coming in fifth, obviously. But like I said, viewership is one way of looking at it. I also looked at social media statistics, where I found that I used Instagram as my social media platform because it is owned by the largest social media company, Meta, which has more than 3.5 billion users. This was kind of a shocker because it flipped on its head what viewership taught us, which was that the NBA had 90 million followers on their account on Instagram. The NFL had 30 million followers. The MLB had close to 11 million followers. The NHL had 6.5 million followers. And finally, the MLS had close to 2 million followers. Now, this would lead people to believe that basketball was the most popular sport in America. But this is also kind of a wrong way of looking at this, because this is the only statistics that I pulled that included international audiences. So kind of skewed. But these are all American leagues. So it's kind of interesting that these American leagues have garnered this much attention. And I'm curious, but I couldn't find this information. I was curious to figure out how much of these followers were actually American. I couldn't find definitive statistics on this. Finally, I got to the Gallup poll that interviewed over 30,000 people over a 20-year period from 2004 to 2023. And I think it was more than, I was 30,000 people each year. So a lot of people. And this Gallup poll clearly showed that football was the clear-cut winner for America's favorite sport during the last 20 years. I mean, football took the cake every year. The lowest percentage that it got was in 2005 with 34%, and it nearly tripled the next best percentage in basketball and baseball at 12%. This truly shows that football has really grasped America and has been kind of the soul of American culture and sports for the last 20 years. But what I found kind of shocking was that soccer overtook hockey during this time. Hockey was above soccer for the first 4 to 5 years of this poll. And then in 2013, it took a flip. And they showed that soccer actually became more popular among Americans than hockey, which shows that, I mean, it already happened with baseball and football, but it shows that Americans can be flipped and they can like different things as well while liking some of the more mainstream sports. I think soccer has been rising in popularity due to the MLS grabbing so many huge stars to come play at the end of their careers, like David Beckham, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and obviously the biggest and most recent addition to the MLS was Lionel Messi to Miami FC. But you can also see this in the college level as well. There is a massive difference in how many soccer teams and how many hockey teams are in Division I NCAA competition. There are 200 men's college soccer teams, as well as 64 men's hockey teams at Division One. And the women, actually, there was a larger margin. Obviously, there's not as many women that play hockey, but it was still astonishing, and it just shows that soccer actually is becoming more dominant than hockey in terms of the American favoritism. And this leads to people playing it more in high school and people watching it more at the amateur and professional level. So, like in conclusion, I said that football is for sure the favorite sport in America, but that doesn't mean a sport like soccer can eventually create a stronghold in the American sports scene. But it's going to take an extremely long time, probably much, much longer than it took football to overcome baseball. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for a great semester, Professor Shu. I really appreciate you, and have a great summer.